This video was sponsored by NordVPN. Hey, happy Friday. This week a whistleblower shared some pretty serious allegations about Twitter. YouTube is apparently up to their second generation of homegrown custom-designed processors, and nothing made it very clear that they don't actually care about nerds. Welcome to the Friday Checkout. Okay, this week I'm trying something new. Instead of my usual release monitor, I'll now do something called The Brief, which not only includes some of the new releases of the week, but also some other relevant news stories where I think just highlighting a couple of facts about them makes sense. So here we go. First, we have to start with Corsair's flexible OLED monitor that you can literally actually bend by hand to switch form factors. For gamers, it's got pretty much everything except for maybe 4K. There is a 45-inch ultra-wide panel with an OLED display from LG and the refresh rate of 240 Hz. It can curve up to 800R and it has handles so you can bend the display easier. Pretty sick. Then Apple announced two things this week. First, its upcoming iPhone event for September 7th with a very spacey teaser. And second, DIY self-service repair offerings for MacBooks. That's right, you can now order official parts and repair an M1 or M1 Pro MacBook. Prices are maybe not super low, like you can pay $500+ for a logic board before you send in the replacement, and there are $5 screw sets, for example, which seems a little bit weird, but Apple says that those prices are the same ones that it charges Apple authorized service providers too, so here we are. Google this week also announced a new range of Fitbit devices in the form of the Inspire 3, the Versa 4 and the Sense 2, each with incremental updates and a bit more polish for $100 to $300. And most interestingly, now with Google involved, the high-end models also come with Google Wallet and Google Maps, complete with turn-by-turn directions, which is nice. None of these devices have switched over to Wear OS 3, which maybe isn't a huge surprise, and Fitbit being Fitbit, they also still require you to actually get a paid subscription to Fitbit Premium to access the better health data like sleep tools, guided programs, advanced insights, etc. Ooh. Also in news this week, there'll be a film about BlackBerry and their parent company Research in Motion coming out soon that is based on a 2015 book. Sony announced both a September 1st event for a new phone, probably the Xperia 5 Mark IV, and also that they are hiking the prices of PlayStation 5s in Europe, Japan and the UK by as much as 10%. And finally, Intel also announced this week that it signed Qualcomm and Amazon, of all companies, as the first customers for their fab business, meaning that with MediaTek they now have a pretty impressive lineup and that they're also moving to a full chiplet-based design for their own chips, starting with 2023's Meteor Lake lineup. Pretty interesting. Okay, that was the brief. Let me know how you like this combination of a release monitor and some quick-fire short news stories, and if you have maybe a better idea for this segment than the brief, then let me know down in the comments or maybe just tweet it at me. Okay, and my first story of the week is going to be a whistleblower who had quite a lot of things to say about Twitter. Peter Mudge Zatko worked as Twitter's head of security between July 2020 and January 2022 when he was fired by the new Twitter CEO Parag Agrawal and released a full 84-page report now, which contains some pretty wild allegations about his former employer. The list is very long, so I'm not going to go over all of it, but here are some of the more colorful allegations. The Indian government forced Twitter to hire specific individuals who were government agents, basically to have unofficial, unsupervised access to systems and user data. Twitter employees installed spyware on work computers at the request of external organizations. Twitter allegedly does not reliably delete users' data after they cancel their accounts, and executives do not have the resources to fully understand the true number of bots on the platform and were not motivated to. The list goes on, and this guy will actually go in front of Congress to testify on the 13th of September, so this story is far from over. Of course, Twitter's current CEO pretty much denies these claims, but I'm sure that the Department of Justice, for example, will be very interested in claims of Indian spies and whatnot. Elon Musk is, of course, also trying to use these reports to help him get out of buying Twitter right now, and the timing does seem kind of suspicious, though I'm not enough of a lawyer to figure out whether that will succeed, and we've also actually seen people starting to debunk the whistleblower already as well. Some Twitter employees quite openly trashed Zatko, including former Twitter engineer Ian Brown, who worked alongside him on the very same issues, and said that Zatko was one of the people who deprioritized some of these security issues, while he also tweeted that Zatko was a pretty vindictive jerk and claimed that he asked Zatko to send Twitter data to a rando buddy of his in Texas, with the implication being that that's not exactly high-level data integrity from the whistleblower. Anyway, this is like a soap opera, and part of me really enjoys watching the world burn like this, but yeah, we'll learn more about this case in a little bit when the guy testifies and when more of these allegations actually get checked. Okay, my second story of the week is going to be a short one about more and more companies making their own chips. So this week we got some new insights into YouTube's own custom data center chip, Argos, which it quietly first disclosed last year. It's a special chip that the company has developed for transcoding the gigantic amounts of video data more efficiently than using off-the-shelf generic processors. Google has further managed a second-generation chip complete with AV1 capable encoding and deployed it in thousands of servers, where it supposedly delivers a 20 to 33-fold increase in transcoding compute performance. Just a few days before this story broke, we also learned that Kuaishou, a Chinese TikTok competitor, developed their own video processing SoC to crunch their own massive piles of video more efficiently too, and it is becoming more and more clear that any company like Amazon, Microsoft or Alibaba who have big and specialized computing needs can all just develop their own custom solutions instead of just relying on standard stuff from Intel and Nvidia, for example, because it's so easy to outsource things like fabrication these days. I think it's pretty cool to see such silicon diversity emerging from everywhere. But anyway, my third story of the week is actually going to be about nothing and the new hot waters they managed to get themselves into. Although this time, I'll actually not be on the side of trying to trash them. So earlier this week, Nothing and Carl Pei were asked when Android 13 would come to their devices, to which they replied in a very, shall we say, dismissive way. And soon after, we learned why. The company had no plans for a stable Android 13 rollout until next year, so almost half a year after Google's own release at least. Nothing simply said that they will focus on updates for camera quality, battery life, and general features first, rather than prioritizing Android versions. As you'd expect, much of the Android enthusiast crowd did not like that very much, not one bit, but you know what? For once, I will kind of agree with Nothing here. Like, I think in our little bubble of Android enthusiasts, we got so focused on getting the next version of Android, as if this was some make or break thing and we're ready to crucify brands right away if it's not their first priority, when in reality, I think most of us would probably be better off if they just focused on making a stable, usable, feature-rich device. Of course, the company should ideally do both fast updates and good quality stuff, but Carl isn't dumb, and I think he's intentionally setting the record straight here right from the beginning. Sure, Nothing is a brand for people who like tech, but it's not for people who want to obsess over a spec sheet. Its target audience is people who might love their iPhones or PlayStations and nice design, not people who obsess over flashing custom ROMs on their Android phones or overclocking their CPUs on their custom-built PCs. The focus is on like an iPhone user who's just bored and wants to try something new, not on the hardcore spec nerd, and I can't blame them. This is a much more lucrative market. Now, if you're watching this show, there's a good chance that you yourself are a tech enthusiast, and if that's the case, at the very least, I don't have to explain to you what a VPN is and why you should get one. Unlocking geo-blocked websites for internet freedom, watching TV shows abroad, hiding what sites you visit from your network operator, you know all of this. But what you might not know is why NordVPN is probably your best option, so here's why. A, it is simply the fastest VPN provider of all the major ones out there according to independent speed tests, so it's so fast that I genuinely don't even notice it being on most of the time. B, it has 5,400 servers in 59 countries, so you can get access to geo-blocked content from just about anywhere in the world. And C, NordVPN also has a bunch of great safety features. They don't keep logs on you, their encryption is very secure, and they have all the nerdy security options if you want more. Split tunneling of your traffic, a double VPN, a kill switch in case your encryption actually stops, onion over VPN to use Tor, and a lot more. I'll be honest, I don't do any of that myself, I just turn it on, and then I watch geo-blocked shows that are hard to get here in Germany, or I find an article that I can't get from abroad but I need it for research, and I just get it with a VPN. But you know, you do you. Of course, you can install NordVPN on any of your phones, computers, or even a router to cover your whole home network, with up to 6 devices being covered under their standard plan, and those plans are also extremely affordable. At nordvpn.com/varecheckout, you can get a 2-year plan with a massive discount, as well as 4 extra months for free, and if you don't like it, you have a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no real risk in trying it. So check it out, get on the VPNs, and I'll see you next Friday.